welcome back. Welcome back to Send Him Off. Another week, another episode. And as always, I'm joined by my ever-present podcasting partner, Alex. It's good to be back, innit?
It's great to be back. But it's back. We're back doing what football means to me. We're all excited it's back. But, we're not alone, are we? Today.
We are not. And our guest today,
tell us who.
The internet describes our guest today as a producer, actor, writer, radio host, columnist. I don't think there's anything he can't do. But now he's a Send Him Off guest, which I'm sure is just, the highlight of it all. Why not?
It's peaked.
We are, of course, delighted to welcome Jonny Owen today. Jonny, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's very good to be here, lads. And like you said, this is now top the list of all that to be on the podcast.
I'm saving that clip.
I was going to say, post that one on TikTok. There we are.
Yep.
That's straight on Instagram.
We've peaked. Thank you guys for listening. It's been great. We, of course, here to talk about, as always, if you guys have listened to any What Football Means to Me episodes, we just chat absolute rubbish about football memories, and we will go all nostalgic. So should we start with some quick fire questions?
Yeah, right. You've got to remind me the order now. Who does what? Do I go first?
I think it matters on these ones. Just take it away, Al. Take it away.
Right, Mr. Jonny Owen.
Yes.
We're going to start off quick fire questions. Favorite player ever?
David Webley.
There we are.
Lovely
Good answer.
stuff.
Good answer.
2, favorite ever manager.
Can I change it actually?
Yeah, go on.
Go on.
So hard. Kevin Rodgers, Merthyr player.
Right, there we are.
Right.
Favorite ever manager.
Lynn Jones.
Getting some obscure names out today, and we love it.
That's
We love it.
Do you want who I think is the best ever or my favourite?
Well, give us both. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Exception for you.
There you go. That's great. So I think the best player ever is Johann Cruyff. And my favourite ever player is a guy who played for Merthyr called Kevin Rodgers. My favourite manager ever is a guy called Lynn Jones who managed Merthyr. But I think the greatest manager ever is Jock Stein.
There we are. Some good answers. Good shots.
Big up Merthyr. I think I got a feeling who you
yeah.
the next answer is going to go.
Who do you support? But, I think we've gone in there early with Merthyr. Favourite stadium?
Yeah.
Favourite stadium is Old Trafford. It's a fantastic stadium. And then obviously Pendarren Park, Merthyr Tydfil.
Yeah, there we are. Best game you've ever been to?
I would say that it's probably Wales against, either Belgium or Slovakia. Probably Wales, Slovakia.
Oh, really? Oh, the Belgium game was a big one.
I'll never forget either game.
It's so tight between the two of them.
Yeah, 100%.
When that Bale free kick went in, I lost my voice for a good week. And by the time they came back, we were playing England. So just for a full month, my voice was shot. Yeah. The best game you've seen on TV?
Oh, God, these are good questions, these are.
You specialise in that.
I was going to say, yeah.
I think the most exciting end to a game was probably when Man United won that Champions League. That was amazing. The 2 late goals, where I was at a pub watching it. And in those days, most people just support the British team. That was really exciting. But the other game I remember really distinctively, because it was such a shocking game, I shouted to the missus. Do you remember when Germany beat Brazil in the World Cup in Brazil? Was it 7-0 or
7-1?
Yeah.
And I can remember shouting to my missus, going, "You got to come watch this because this has never happened before or happen again." Brazil getting beaten at home that soundly. So that game as well.
I remember that. I was back in Brazil and then they got 2, didn't they? But,
I think they were. But Neymar broke his back the week before.
Neymar was finished. David Luiz was in tears.
Saying, pray for Neymar, as if he'd but yeah, I'll never forget that either. Some cracking memories there. I'm liking where this is going already. We haven't got into
I love the Merthyr Town again. Such a big show. I love seeing the little club, the small. So we said about it when we were doing the Super League thing. Support your local team, and this is testament to it. So I 100% love that.
Definitely. Shall we jump in with
let's do
the big main questions?
Top 10.
I think I go first.
Because you've got a favourite question, haven't you?
Yeah. We plan these, Jonny, every week. So I say my favourite question. Your earliest football memory?
My earliest football memory, I think, because me and my brother have a discussion about this, was the 1974 World Cup final between Germany and Holland. And what I remember as a kid, because I'd only be about 3 or 4, was the white shirts and the orange shirts. And I remember everybody crowding around the television to watch it. So I think that's my earliest memory.
Who did you want to win, the white shirts or the orange shirts?
The orange.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah, better colour in there.
And then, I always loved Cruyff. I have before and have since. But Germany had a great team then. You know, they had Beckenbauer, Muller, who died the other day, sadly. But I just remember that I can remember something happening in the game. And, you know, like all your fathers and your uncles all like making a noise. And what had happened, I found out later, was they conceded a penalty, didn't they, in the first minute, Germany. So obviously the match kicked off and a penalty was given within the first minute, which, you know, was quite rare in those days. It was hard to get a penalty, like getting sent off. And there was a big commotion in the room, and that's what I think I remember. But my brother seems to think that I got mixed up with the 1978 World Cup final between Holland and Argentina, but I don't think I did.
I mean, your memory, I wouldn't contest it.
Yeah, either one's a decent first football memory to have. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah.
Question number 2: biggest high as a football fan?
I was definitely France 2016. That was amazing. That whole month really was sensational. Yeah. And,
did you go? Do you have any memories of it, or because of course you did the Don't Take Me Home?
Yeah, I went to every game. I went to every game except the England game, and there was a reason for that. Martin Compston, who's in Line of Duty with my partner Vicky McClure, he's Scottish.
I'm a massive fan of Line of Duty.
Sam is fanboy and now massively.
Well, he got married. The swine.
Oh, right.
Scottish. During the tournament because they weren't there. So I had to fly back for the wedding, which was the day before or after the England game, and I had to fly, and I flew straight back out again for the Russia game in Toulouse. So that was the one game I missed. But other than that, it was just brilliant because it wasn't just about what happened on the pitch, which was obviously sensational. It was off the pitch, the way the Welsh fans were, the way they behaved, the way they looked, just the whole atmosphere. I don't think I've ever been so proud to be Welsh. I was
going to say, did you have like a sense of pride? Because obviously England, you know, they had their reputation out in France and what happened. And Wales were, you know, widely praised for how they behaved. And of course, it must have made you think, you know what, those are my boys and things like that, you know?
It did, definitely did. I felt that, you know, I felt there was a very specific football culture had arrived on a world stage, you know, the bucket hats, you know, the Spirit of 58 clothes, the way the people sort of sing, you know, all that kind of stuff. It was very, very specific. It wasn't English, you know, and I thought that the world kind of went, oh, this is great, this lot. Every city we arrived in, we had a good time and a party. And when we left, all over social media, those cities, Bordeaux, Toulouse, were saying what a pleasure it was to have the Welsh football fans. And I got a theory now that what's happened with Welsh football fans and Scottish football fans, because we're not English, we've done the opposite of the English. So we don't sing those kind of songs and we don't act that way. We define ourselves by being not English, by being something specifically very different. And I think that really bloomed in France. And I felt really not only proud of it, I felt a part of it. I felt I was with my own people, my own tribe. You know?
To be fair, I can only imagine what it was like out there because we must have been 17 at the time, Al.
Yeah, something like that.
17, 18-ish at the time. And like I watched all the games at home, but in the pubs and stuff, but over here. And I felt part of it. I felt part of it. So I can't imagine what it felt like in France.
I was going to ask. Go on. I was only going to ask one question before Sam was carrying on, but I just wanted to ask one question because I don't know anyone who went out. Obviously, we were sort of a bit too young, still in college, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to know what the national anthem sounded like before that Belgium game. I just need to know, like in person, from somebody who was there, I just need to know what it was like.
It was amazing. You know, I often say that, you know, there were people crying and people hugging each other and all that kind of thing. But I think like it was just the fact that we'd arrived on that stage and we knew we were there. And everybody who sang it felt the same. You know, you're younger than me, boys, and that's, you know, and I love the fact that you've probably seen Wales when we're very good, but we've been poor for a few decades. And I was there when we nearly qualified quite a few times. 1986, I was there when Jock Stein, bless him, passed away with Scotland. I was there in 93. I was there against Russia. I was there for all those games. And I did feel that we would never qualify for anything. So the fact that we qualified, and then that was the first time we sang the anthem, was so emotional because we'd won, like we'd finally got to a major tournament, and it didn't matter then. It didn't matter. We were happy to be there.
I felt 100%. A bit like that this year, though. Like with the Euros just gone, I saw loads of I bet loads on TikTok of like and Twitter with people being like, "Oh, Wales are out, or whatever. England is still going," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you've got like." Some of the best players in the Premier League, best players in the world, right? Harry Kane, Sterling, Shaw, the like. We're just happy to be there. Like, I've seen one major tournament in my lifetime. So have most people. And I'm just happy to be at another one. But that's what I loved about it. It's just a party atmosphere, and I felt robbed of it this year. I really did, because obviously there's not many fans. But you've mentioned sort of the dark years. Our next question: what's your lowest point as a football fan?
It was the night after in '93 when we didn't qualify for America. That was a dark night, that was. And it wasn't even so much that we didn't beat Romania to go through with a really good team as well, because I think we'd have done well that World Cup. But it was the fact that a fan died that night in the stands, and the Viorath was sacked not long after. And we did go into the wilderness for 10 years after that, and you felt it that night. You did feel as if like we'd missed a great opportunity. And, it was a bad night in Russia against Russia when we went out that night as well. And that was when I thought I'd come to terms with it, really. I thought, we're never going to qualify, but that's all right. We'll have the great qualifying tournament, a campaign, and we'll just go on trips with that, and that'll be fine. So I sort of made peace with it. But '93 was hard because we had such a good team. We had Rush, Hughes, Dean Saunders, Ryan Giggs, Gary Speed, Neville Southall. It was a really, really good side, and we just missed out on qualification. And we just done the same in '91 as well, where we missed out by 1 point, right, for the Euros in '92. And in our group was Belgium and Germany, and we'd beaten Belgium at home, drawn away, beaten Germany at home, lost away, and we didn't miss out by 1 point because it was so difficult to get through in those days. And don't forget, Germany were the world champions. So in our group were the world champions and Belgium. So it was always very difficult for Wales to qualify. And coming back to what you said about, it's quite flattering, really, that the English have seen us as rivals recently, which they never did before. And they get a bit annoyed by us because, our population is, 3 million? It's the same, I think, as the West Midlands or, certain Greater Manchester. And we're competing, on a world stage. So I think it's testament to us as a nation, like you said, that we're managing to qualify and even compete, really. We shouldn't be there. We're always the smallest country that gets through. We're the smallest country that's ever got to a semi-final of a major tournament. So, go Wales, as they say.
Yeah. Smallest country with the loudest voice. Yeah.
No, it's brilliant to wind them up as well. I love it. You just can't beat the canoe. You can't. But we did a little thing earlier in the week. What if? Sort of like the big what ifs in football. And one of my biggest ones, I know it's Alex's as well, is what if Ramsey and Ben Davies played that semi-final?
Yeah, I know.
I really do think we would have taken them. I really do.
Two of our best players. Any team that loses two of its best players, and especially Ramsey that tournament. I mean, Bale was sensational and he was scoring goals, but Ramsey was arguably the best Welsh player at that tournament. And we didn't have our best player playing for us. Very similar to what happened in 1958 when John Charles was injured against Brazil. And it is one of the great what-ifs of Welsh history now that if Ben Davies and Aaron Ramsey played, especially the way that Aaron Ramsey can just create that little bit, and Poland really flattered us by trying to defend deep all game. What could have happened? But, what a tournament, and to get to a semi-final was a remarkable achievement, wasn't it?
Yeah,
superb. 100%. You're a man who's done a lot. You've been a lot of places. You've seen plenty of things. But the next question is, what is on your football bucket list? If there's anything left on your football bucket list.
I wouldn't mind going to see a game I'll tell you what, I'd love to see Wales in a World Cup.
Okay, right.
That would be me done. But obviously
maybe.
That depends on Wales qualified. But if there's something that I can do anyway, I would love to go and see one of the great South American derbies, somewhere in Argentina or Brazil. One of those games would be great to go and watch, I think. But not many things. I think I've probably seen most things, but I'd love to see Wales in a World Cup.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for next year.
You're speaking for us all, but there, 100%.
Yeah, well, look, only we go to Qatar. It's a dry country, it's not alcohol there. I guarantee the one World Cup we qualify for, we can't drink out there. I guarantee it. This is my favorite question. I love this question. It's a double-edged sword. What is your football guilty pleasure? And if you could put anything in football room 101 and banish it forever, what would you get rid of?
My guilty pleasure. That's a great question.
That room 101 bit's new, isn't it? You've just chucked that in.
No, I did it. I did it with Amy a few months ago, and I said I'm keeping that. I'm writing that down.
Well, that's easy. Goal 101. I'd put goal celebration music in. That's an abomination in the game. Why do you need music when you've already scored a goal? Ridiculous. So that would be the first thing. I know that straight away. Goal celebration music off on your bike. Not having it. But my guilty pleasure. That's a great. I tell you what. I do like now going to the game in the posh bit. It doesn't bother me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not sure.
Oh, his illusion of man of the people has been shattered.
The idea now that, you've got to keep it real. Boys, if you have a nice steak for a game and you're in the warm and you have free beer and it can all sit in nice seats, there's nothing wrong with that. I've done the terraces and the rain and the wind and the cold in the northeast, so I'm partial to a bit of corporate hospitality these days.
If anyone from Swansea City's watching, send him on podcast. Would love a hospitality package.
If you want to throw us a hospitality package for any of the games, just we got season tickets up there.
We'd love
one game be all right.
That's a good answer, though. To be fair,
it's a good answer. Still not sure how I feel about it, but good answer nonetheless.
Wait till you get at my age.
I don't plan on doing
Johnny,
that.
I'm 22. I'm already with you, mate. It's fine.
What does the game mean to you?
Well, it means everything, It's given me, lifelong friends, a livelihood, I've made films about it. I've worked in the game. It's my life, really. It is, to go, not some dramatic, from when I grew up, really. I was surrounded by people who loved football, played football. I quickly worked out that I wouldn't be good enough to become a professional, and I kind of made peace with that. I was all right. And then I ended up, making the best friends and the longest friends of my life by supporting my local team, still my friends now. Wherever I go, I try to watch football. I ended up moving to Nottingham and I ended up doing stuff with the local clubs, Forest, and, my missus is a county fan. So, yeah, I just love the game, and to the point where my life is kind of planned around it, really.
I was going to say, you strike me as the sort of person, like, I wouldn't ask the question, what does the game mean to you? I'd ask you, what would your life be without this sort of thing? Because I don't think, as you come across to us now, I don't think you could imagine your life without the game.
It would be a pretty poor and barren place.
Yeah.
I'd say. I mean, I do struggle in the summers sometimes when there's no tournament football on or anything else. I go to watch friendlies and all sorts, I mean, I always remember the great Bobby Charlton saying once that if he's in a car and there's a park game going on and somebody takes a corner, he slows the car down to see the corner. I'm a bit like that, Any football, I'll go and watch it, and I just can't help it, But the big thing for me with football is I love the culture around it, stuff like going for a pint with your mates, and this, all the culture around it is brilliant. It's such a wonderful thing to be part of for me. It's a way of life, really. So yeah, it means everything.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Wow. That was such a sincere answer.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had such a sincere answer on this.
I was going to say,
are we serious
good
podcasters
answers
now, Al?
we might be good answers, but that was probably the best answer we've had so far. 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you though. Like, I'm a big rugby fan as well, but like my weekends are planned around the football. Like,
yeah,
it's all.
If we're not watching it, we're talking about it. If we're not talking about it, we'll kick a ball around if we go 5 minutes.
It's just how this podcast was born. Like in lockdown, we just used to meet in our car boots or like on Zoom, and we just chat about football for it. There was no football on. Like we were in lockdown. There's no football. We just talk football. And Alex goes, "I reckon this is a podcast." And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" It took a bit of convincing for me, but I got there in the end.
Right decision. And like you, I like rugby. I enjoy watching the rugby and. Things like that. It's just football. Just seems to be, it's a football town, really, Merthyr. I think Swansea. I think Swansea's a football town as well, really. And I just, I do like all sports. Love the boxing, but football is just like you're saying. It's just
football is different.
Yeah, it is. It's different. Exactly. It's just got that cool culture around it, which is magnificent. I think.
100%.
Speaking of lockdown in the last 12 months or whatever, what has been your favourite footballing moment from the last 12 months?
Oh, I think it was definitely Wales in the Euros when we beat Turkey. I loved that. It was just, to go out there, really, which it was part of Turkey, part of their empire. So their backyard, they had their own fans in there, it was 100 degrees. And to go there and to beat them, and they were the dark horses for a lot of people in that tournament, but to beat them 2-0 was just brilliant. And I watched the Euros in Merthyr. I did a lot of stuff for TalkSport there. I asked them, look, can I present it from Merthyr Town Football Club? And they were like, well, what will it be like? And I was like, I guarantee it'll be packed there. And it was. And the atmosphere was fantastic. But to be there that night with all my mates, it was as near to being out there as it could possibly be. I was back home. I was with like fanatical Welsh football fans who've been following them for 30, 40 years. So it was just a lovely moment. And I think there's nothing like in football when you're winning 1-0, but when your team scores in injury time. Yeah. So when Connor stuck the ball in right at the very end, Bale being Bale, or he doesn't keep the ball in the corner. He decides to go across the area, and right back is on the 6 yard line in their box when we won
I remember seeing it, and oh my God, when Connor Roberts was on that 6, and what it meant to him as well. Being a local boy from where we're from, it meant the world to all of us, seeing him put it in the back of the net and scoring, the passion and everything. He loved it.
You could see it, couldn't you? You could see it on his face and everything, and the relief, and you've won it. And we knew we were through. We knew
exactly. Yeah, we were through, so you can get to that next stage as a sort of element of relief about it. Yeah,
that's been my favourite moment. Yeah.
Next question. I lost where we were then. Sorry.
Still
moving away. I'm still thinking about the tournament. Moving away from international football now. Who do you think will win the Premier League?
I think it'll probably be Man City.
Do you think so?
Yeah. Put a gun to my head, I think it would be Man City. I think Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man United are all pretty strong this year. But I just think Man City have just got that, they just got so much money.
Exactly.
So, buying Jack Grealish was probably just giving them the slight edge this year, and I think they'll win it.
It's hard to disagree. I think so, I went Chelsea personally.
Yeah, but it was one of those. I said City, Sam said, but it could change. It's one of those.
By December, I would have changed. I think.
Yeah.
So it's such an open one this year, but
it's open.
I feel like it's the most open league in a long, long time, but also the most closed league in a long, long time, because I think the divide between the top 6 and the rest is just bigger than ever.
Totally agree. It's a real problem that they're going to have to address at some point, because it's the same with the Championship. You're going to start having teams coming down with the parachute payments, and nobody's going to get near them in time, because everybody else is having to cut back, and then you got clubs with hundreds of millions. Norwich have had like almost half. Forest, I went to a Forest game last night. They played Wolves. A few years back, I seen Forest beat Wolves at Wolves just before they went up 2-0. Last year, they didn't get anywhere near Wolves, and somebody pointed out Wolves have had nearly £500 million in money since then, because they've gone up. And you just go, well, you're not going to be able to get near them. They were bringing on players who they just bought from Barcelona. Wolves.
Yeah, it's beyond, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was thinking there's a problem here, because ultimately, if they make it that it's too difficult for anybody to break into that, certainly the top end of the Premier League, but also the Premier League itself, then it loses its charm, really, because it's meant to be a competition, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Nail on the head.
we said it, and you can't know when it's all this money floating around, English football. I think an overhaul is needed. It's been needed for a number of years now, but an overhaul is needed with the FA, with even UEFA, but I don't want to get into that now because I'll be off for the next hour.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
We'll wrap this up with a nice big question that could go anywhere. Your favorite football memory of all time?
Well, you know what? I've mentioned Wales ones, and I've seen Cardiff City with my football league team, do well in the FA Cup. Never didn't win it, but got the final. But coming back to Merthyr again, my hometown club. Amazingly, boys, probably before you were born now, Merthyr got to the European Cup Winners' Cup competition, right? In the days when you could qualify from the old Welsh Cup. And they played Atalanta, can you believe that, from Serie A, the top team. And Merthyr beat Atalanta in 1987 in Merthyr. Full house.
Fair play.
One of the biggest upsets in the history of European football. Some people say, The Guardian, I think, and a few other, have said it's the biggest upset in the history of European football. But Merthyr Town, then in the Beezer Homes Midland Division, beat Atalanta, the Italian super team, 2-1 in Merthyr. And I was there. I was 16, and it was unbelievable. So at the time I knew something special had happened, but as I've got older, I've realised I was so lucky to be there that night, because it wasn't long after the miners' strike and all that, in the valleys. But to win that game, and the whole world the next day was in Merthyr with cameras. Every TV station from Europe was in Merthyr Town Centre asking people what they thought. It was hilarious. You can imagine people from Merthyr going, "That's brilliant, Pat. But it was great. So, yeah, my favourite football memory was Merthyr beating Atalanta in the European Cup Winners' Cup.
I didn't know that, and genuinely, I never ever thought I'd hear Merthyr beat Atalanta.
That's one for the pub quiz, that is.
I was going to say, 100%. Yeah. We'll take that one with us.
One day.
What was the score? 2-1. And Jonny Owen was there.
Yeah.
I was there.
There we are. Johnny, thank you so much
Oh,
for
wraps
joining
it up.
us.
Yeah,
It's been an
thank you
absolute
so much.
pleasure to chat to you tonight. It's been
Boys.
like a trip down memory lane, especially talking about the Euros. That was, to this day, I think is the best summer of my life. 100%. You know,
It'll
this
take
summer
some
was
topping.
great, but I just think it's going to be topped anytime soon. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been
A genuine
an absolute
pleasure, yeah.
It really has. We'd
Been
love to
brilliant,
chat
boys.
to you
Been
again
brilliant.
at some point.
It's been brilliant to be on here. It's a great podcast. Well done. Keep it up. And hopefully, boys, we'll make the World Cup and we'll have another chat.
Exactly.
Crossed.
There we are.
Fingers
we love
crossed.
it.
There we are. But
There you
if
go,
any of the
guys.
Wales team are listening, that's your challenge now.
There we are.
Get the World Cup.
Don't
so we
let
can
us
speak to
down,
Jonny Owen
please.
again.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back on unless you do it. But yeah, thank you once again. And thank you guys for listening. It's been a good one. This has. I've enjoyed this chat. Alex, I'll speak to you next week.
Can't wait. There we are.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you
Ta-ra,
very much.
guys. Thanks.
Take care.
All the best, lads. Enjoy that. Keep up all the good work. Ta-ra, buddy. Ta-ra, boys.